Perfecto, gracias.
¿Quiere algo más o
Um, um, Pancakes, por favor.
pancakes? ¿Está bien?
Todo listo, gracias. So, welcome to Costa Rica Story Live. We're here at Don Roger Restaurante Don Roger, the Mirador, right outside of Uvita, Costa Rica. And I just got my first cup of coffee. Didn't even have one at home this morning. So, the sun's coming up here in Uvita, shining brightly down upon the bay down at the whale tail. And I'll just go through the weekly things that are going on. And if you're new, if this is your first live, we just chat about things about Costa Rica. And I usually do a little, I wouldn't call it a monologue, but yeah, we'll call it a monologue. And then I flip it out to the ocean. So you can actually come into what you want to see. So, see, I've just got a few things going on. I just want to mention the low tide today was at 4:48 a.m. So it's a little bit midway in there. And the low tide comes again at 5:08 p.m. And high tide is at 11:08. So we're somewhere in the middle, but you can see the whale tail out there. So that's cool. And I had a I do a poll every week on the community tab on the YouTube channel, and I did a question about basically what kind of vacation do you like to do? Do you like to try to cram everything in, or do you try to do it laid back? And I was surprised that it was like 75% of the people that took the poll uh, want the laid back vacation, which that's me. That's what I would like. So we have a lot of great minds thinking alike with subscribers and myself. And my video of the horse ride at Rancho La Merced is up now, and yeah, I think I've said this before. I'm not a horse riding person. I love horses. I think they're cool. I just don't have experience riding them. And it was an awesome experience, and I'm just glad that the horse knew what he was doing. And I have got the video of the dolphins from the week before. And if you haven't seen that, make sure to check that. And also in the description down below, there's a lot of info. There's a lot of different things. And I have to talk a little bit louder because we have the cicadas have decided to start earlier in the morning. It used to be 8 o'clock. They would just start, but now I was driving up the driveway here, and I thought I had something. I thought I had a belt issue. I heard all this noise. It was the cicadas. So in different areas, they they show themselves at different times. So if you can't hear me, that's partially the reason. So I'll try to speak up. And all right, so the video of the dolphins. And another thing I want to point out is sometimes people have trouble with the audio portion of this, or even the video portion, which sometimes can be remedied by logging in and out of YouTube. Sometimes maybe it's a Costa Rica thing, sometimes maybe it's a YouTube thing. So keep that in mind. And I'm working on a new segment called Costa Ricans in Cars Getting Coffee. Yes, I stole that from Jerry Seinfeld, but it's going to be cool because it's going to be a chance for you to meet some of my friends here. I'm trying to find all my Tico friends that can speak English, and of course, Dainer is going to be the first one. Dainer from Cafe Don Emilio. He's going to be my first guest on Costa Ricans in Cars Getting Coffee. That's going to be a really fun segment. So if you're not a subscriber, you need to subscribe just for that. Buenos dias, Don. I see you've got your sunglasses on today. Buenos dias, Michael. Have you got snow there this morning? Michael sent me a photo of his deck covered in snow the other. Hey, puppy, hey, puppy, how are you? How are you? Little puppy's visiting me here. But yeah. So Costa Ricans in cars getting coffee, and it's going to be probably mostly my Tico friends, but I'll that have moved here too because it's really interesting getting their point of view. There's a lot of different points of view. Okay, and then I wanted to mention you'll hear the sound of the Jake brakes on the road out front if you ever watched this before because That's a steep hill, and I talk about it. I make excuses for why you're hearing that Jake brake noise. But Monday I was coming through there, and there was a car upside down on its roof because actually, and it wasn't even in the dangerous part of the hill. So that's the reason you'll hear the Jake brake there. But yeah, one of the biggest dangers of Costa Rica is driving. It's the terrain is tough, and sometimes the roads aren't in great shape. But to the credit of the highway departments here in Costa Rica, I think they do a pretty good job considering what they have to work with, and they do, especially when the floodings happen. They get some things done really fast. There's some really good equipment operators here in Costa Rica, so hats off to them. And my sunburn on my top of my head is much better. So as I mentioned before, down in the description, I've got a lot of information. So you want to check that out at some point. And I've got my Costa Rica transition consulting and my travel agency listed in a link to that to my website, costaricastory.com. So there's a lot of things going on with me. I'm keeping pretty busy. I want to do a frequently asked questions episode because I've got so many questions that are frequently asked. I need to get up there because a lot of times people ask me a question. I'm like, oh, you must not have watched the channel. So I'll have it so more obvious. Buenos dias, James. ¿Cómo está? Dirk. Hola, Pura Vida. También. I know. I saw one post you put on Instagram, and you're missing Costa Rica. I think you got Costa Rica in your blood for sure. Yeah, and if you ever come to Costa Rica again, you'll have to give me some horseback riding rides. We'll have to go out to La Merced, and I it's fun riding a horse. And I I grew up watching westerns and things, and I always imagine me getting on a horse like Little Joe Cartwright from Bonanza, just. But I was like, I had a hard time getting up there, and then I was intimidated by the horse because the horse is so big and you're up there so high. But the most intimidating part was getting down on the beach, and they said we could gallop, and I started to gallop, and I gave the horse the signal to gallop, and then I just went up in the air. So I'm like, no, I'm going to end up down because my feet were in the stirrups. They're like just like the tips of your toes are in the stirrups. So I need less lessons or something. But of all the things that I've done out of my comfort zone, I think that was right on the top of the. Another thing I wanted to throw out there, and I don't like to talk about it too much because I don't like to discourage people because people are always asking, is it safe in Costa Rica? Do you feel safe in Costa Rica? And that's a whole topic on its own. But there was an armed robbery in Ocachal yesterday or last night. So there was 4 guys that came in on motorcycles, and they bullied all the people in the supermarket, and they took money out of the cash register, and they were gone. It mattered probably like 3 minutes, but it was caught on video camera. So that's a little disheartening. Like Costa Rica it's a really nice place, but it's not perfect. So if you are moving or visiting, you have to be aware of that kind of thing. Crime does exist here in Costa Rica. It's usually petty crime. It's usually you just can't leave anything in your car at the beach and that kind of thing, or at the store. But sometimes other things happen that are pretty alarming, more positive. Well, thanks for the compliments, Dirk. I did the best I could with the horse, considering my lack of ability. I think, it's almost like here in Costa Rica, I can't speak Spanish, but all my friends are very patient and they very tolerant of my lack of skill. And the horse was the same way. He's like, okay, we got this fat gringo on our back. We got to bring him down to the beach. We got to bring him back. And he did it without much complaints. He was always trying to yank the reins out of my hand. And if you want to see that video, I link that down below. I mean, it's not a glorious video, but if you're going to do a horse ride in Costa Rica, it shows you what it's like. And that sunset on the beach was just absolutely beautiful. I need to spend more suns on the beach, but I'm gabbing too much already. How long have I've already been gabbing for? So I'm going to throw you out to the beach. And for ambient sun, we've got a weed whacker in the distance, and we've got Route 34, and of course, the omnipresent cicadas. Can't get rid of them. All right, enjoy the view. Gives you that extra appreciation, for a warm climate when you're leaving a cooler climate. And I know sometimes Canada can get a little cold, a little chilly. I don't know if we lost vision for a bit. I know I had a blurry picture behind. This is how I monitor. The conversation. So we're in the midst of, like right in Uvita, but it's not in the city. It's like on the edge of Uvita. The Envision reports for the amount of people, but it's coming for the festival. It could be even more, but that's just what I've heard. Had rain here in probably almost a month. It seems like we're starting to some of the more sensitive trees are starting to wilt a little bit. But the sun is pretty intense too. So I'm cutting in a little bit. I'm still cutting in now. And sometimes it's Costa Rica. So yeah, people are leaving live. A lot of on and off, and the internet's been iffy. All the stress of the thousands of people at Envision probably playing a part in that. Heard or seen, but my breakfast is here, so there's that. But I think the fact that Envision could be having an effect on the internet and electricity, because the electricity has gone out so many times this week. I was without electricity for a whole day. I forget what day it was. I think Monday. And there's a little star fruit with it today. Gracias. Gracias. Okay, let me get it lined up a little bit better. And sometimes we cut in and sometimes we cut out, but we're looking at the whale tail. We're at a restaurant, Don Roger, just outside of Uvita. But these French fries are French fries. These pancakes are really, really fit. No, no, no. Is it like you eat off my plate? For me, I think the broadcast is suffering from lagging internet today. I'm, I think I want to blame Envision for that. You know, it's this funny thing when you go out and when you eat in a place that's outside. It's just keeping any kind of insects from landing on your food. That's what is with me. Is with me. So I've developed a technique with my left hand. I hold my knife, and if a fly comes, I just I ward it off. But it's so nice here. There's a I'm not sure what kind of bush this is, but there's little hummingbirds. You know, I don't have much opportunity to check. I mean, I don't have many options, so yeah. So if you're having trouble and you log in and log out, sometimes that helps it. Because I know sometimes when other people are having real issues on certain devices, like for instance, Jen is watching on his I don't know if he's got an Apple TV. So a lot of times he watches on that and it's fine, but on a phone or a tablet, it's not. But logging in and logging out, how speed goes. This is one of the more reliable places that I've been. And I don't know what the numbers are. I just know that I've done live streams here. They've been okay. But there's no real luxury of saying, oh, I'm going to go somewhere with a great stream and a great view because they don't always match up. There is another restaurant I want to. I've been meaning to do the breakfast from. It's out of Costa Rica. We'll see how their stream is. And also, I just want to do a lot of different places. So maybe we'll get lucky. But yeah, I don't check the speeds or anything like that. I go by experience. If I've been somewhere before and the internet was decent, I would go. But there's no point in checking the speed. What's the point of checking the speed though? Because I'm here. Oh, you mean to determine? Oh, you mean to determine whether it's on my end or whether it's on the user? And let's see. I mean, if I test it and the speed's not good, what are my options? Like, hey, puppy. So by request, we're doing a speed test here. Yeah, so it's not very, it's pretty lame here, but it's the download speed is 5.6, the upload speed is 3.4. So yeah, it's Costa Rica. That's what we're getting. Really. I get a little bit better in my house sometimes. Well, at that moment, at this particular moment, no, but in 2 minutes, it may be different. Yeah, I'm not really on the Envision bandwagon myself. I'm just going to be happy when it's all over. It's I mean, it's divided. There's a lot of people have different views on it. So I joined the Uvita Kayak Club, and this week this week our activity was to go from Playa Ballena to Playa Uvita, where the whale tail is. We didn't see any whales or dolphins, but we saw some jumping fish, and it was just a fun little paddle. And I'm getting my comfort up a little bit with being out in the ocean. I actually had to switch. I had to hop out of one kayak and get into another kayak because the seat on the back of my kayak. I don't know if you've been in sea kayaks before, but anybody who has had experience with it knows they have these. They're not the greatest backs on most sea kayaks. They're just it's less than a cheap lounge chair. But mine broke, so I I just couldn't paddle it because I'm not experienced with that kind of kayak. I used to have a regular kayak with a hard plastic back, but to be out in the middle of the ocean and you've got no back support, and I mean, there's techniques that you use to paddle these things. I'm just learning, but fortunately, uh, one of the members of the kayak club decided that she would take the crappy kayak and let me hop in the good kayak. So that's what I ended up doing, and we switched, and I had to hop out of one kayak and swim into the other. But that's quite a workout, the old sea kayak, and the water was beautiful, really beautiful on Monday. You could see right down to the bottom out at Playa Vagina. So the Envision Festival is right adjacent to the place where I went horseback riding. And somebody was telling me this the same person owns the land that at the ranch that I rode on. He's the one that leases the land out to Envision. A guy with a lot of money, I guess. I don't. That's just what I've heard. Yeah, you hear a lot of different rumors about Envision, but no, it's definitely not my scene. It would be interesting to look at it, but the city upside down here, the town upside down a little bit. I'd probably have a different opinion if it was things I was interested in and or music I was interested in as well. But I mean, it's overkill to me. It's like, why so many people? But really, I don't know enough about it to comment on it, so I won't say anymore. Just that it just seems out of place here. But everybody has different opinions and ideas of what is the norm. So I just know a lot of the business owners that I talk to don't see any substantial benefit from it. Well, there's a new food court that just went in not far from where I live, in Calle Uvita. And there's a bunch of container restaurant kind of things. It's like I said, it's like a food court, a gastro food court. And I was interested in it because there was a place that sold slice, and that's not very common here in Uvita. It knows a car and a monocongo at the same time. But yeah, so I got a slice of pizza, but the pizza was 3 mil, which is over $5 US for one slice of pizza. And granted, it was a big slice of pizza, and it was delicious, but that's just way too much to pay for a slice of pizza. So pizza can be expensive here in Costa Rica. A lot of things can be expensive here, and when you're paying in colones, you don't always realize how much. If you're used to paying in dollars or another currency, a lot of times you're like, oh, okay, it's just a little bit more, but it's a lot more sometimes. And at the Baker Bean, which is near Cebu, you can get a slice of pizza and a drink, and a small bottle of soda for 2 mil, and that's a huge difference. But one thing I've noticed in places that have offered slices of pizza in Costa Rica, they have a. But one thing I've noticed in places that have offered slices of pizza in Costa Rica, they have a different way of looking at it. They don't realize from somebody from the States, like my take on pizza, slices should be, it should be cheap and it should be fast. So anytime I've gotten a slice, they've had to cook it, and that's the beauty of a slice, is that you go get it and it's right there immediately, and there's no cooking involved. Maybe a reheat once in a while, but the bar is a little bit lower for slices of pizza sometimes, and sometimes it'll be colder, and you'll accept that. But in Costa Rica, they like to make the slices fresh. That conflicts with fast and cheap sometimes. Oh, Don was saying that at the Whale Tail Brewery that business is off a little bit. A lot of maybe a lot of people staying at home trying to avoid the traffic and the crowds. So Don, how is your reception? Are you getting the feed okay? Are you getting the breaking up like it has for some other people? And that's one thing about Costa Rica is sometimes the internet is what it is, and you just roll with it. It's not perfect, but it's what you have to work with. So if the stream is breaking, that's one of the potential reasons why is that we're starting off with a um, low bandwidth here, and I guess that probably doesn't help on the other end. I haven't been to the Whale Tail Brewery in a while. It seems like the fact that Envision is here, I don't know if they bring something in to help the infrastructure as far as Wi-Fi and internet goes, cellular, because everybody's got to have their cell phone. The supermarket was a little bit busy last time I was there, but yeah, everybody's got to do the supermarket thing. I imagine those people at the festival don't have much money left after buying their tickets. Tickets are pretty expensive. Rápido. There's two cute little puppies here that or I can't call them puppies. They're full-grown dogs, but there's a lot of dogs here that eat fruit. Where I've never had a dog that would eat fruit, maybe that's just me. But it just seems like every dog here will eat just about whatever you put in front of them. I just dropped my pineapple, so I haven't been to Indomitos yet this week. Indomitos is a vegan place, but I I don't go there because of that. I go because it's really good food. But I imagine that would be high on the list of the types of restaurants that they would like. So Don, did you see the video? There was an armed robbery in Ocotal at the supermarket, and they got and I was just watching the surveillance tape. And four guys with motorcycle helmets came in and they bullied everybody in the store, including customers standing there, and they took money out and they had guns. So Costa Rica is awesome, but it's not perfect. So that's one of the things most realtors won't, they'll downplay anything like that happens like that. But you have to be aware of everything because there's good and there's bad. So I will be happy when the rains start again. And statistically, April, the rains start to pick up again. I was just looking at a chart about that. And when I moved here in 2021, it was middle of April, towards the end of April, and all the rivers were up and healthy again. But the dry season is good if you're on vacation and you don't want to get rained out. But at the same time, the dry season is the waterfalls are lower, the rivers are lower, the roads are really dusty. You see all the cars in town covered in dust. It's great for the car washing businesses. and the sun is super duper intense. The good thing about the rainy season is it's a deceptive term because it doesn't mean that it rains all day. It can rain all day. It can rain for weeks. You don't know what's going to happen. But typically, what I've experienced is that during the rainy season, you have to work around the rain. You know, it's going to rain for a while here or there, and it might rain when you least expect it. But I enjoy that better than what we've had lately. It's just and I'm not complaining about this because I know it's a great thing, but it's just the intense sun for weeks on end without rain is not 100% perfect. There's problems that come about that, and just the dryness of things. And the rivers really aren't as healthy when it's this dry and it gets low, and the runoff in the and the river doesn't go very far. You know, a lot of people swimming in the river, especially now with Envision. You've got a lot of new people around. So we've still got people watching. Is the broadcast still breaking up as bad as it was before? I'll have to do another speed check when I finish my watermelon. And I'm hoping to get up to my friend Daener's coffee farm, coffee plantation, within the next couple of days to start some video projects up there. It's so beautiful up there, though. It's a coffee plantation. He does coffee tours. But what people don't realize until they get up there is how uniquely beautiful it is up there. And you talk about Costa Rica and their different ecosystems. And here he is, not that far from Uvita. You're close enough where you can come down to do the farmers market twice a week. But when you go up there, it's just so peaceful. And he has a sloth that hangs around, and they named the sloth Mr. Coffee, of course. But come to find out, Mr. Coffee really isn't Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee is Mrs. Coffee, because they found Mr. Coffee. He'd been gone for a few days, and they came back, and he was carrying a little baby sloth. So all this time they thought he was Mr. Coffee, but it was really Mrs. Coffee. Daniel tells the story a lot better. You can see in the vegetation in the lower left of the screen that's in the shadow, the leaf cutter ants have really gone to town on that poor little bush. It's amazing how fast they can take down some vegetation. So if you're just tuning in, we're live from Restaurante Don Roger, just outside of Uvita, Costa Rica. And today the internet is suffering from a little bit of lag. So if you're not hearing things perfectly or seeing things perfectly, that might be part of the reason. Sometimes that helps if you log into YouTube and log back out. Sometimes it doesn't. Here in Costa Rica, I have to we have to try to improvise. And in the video, the description of the video below here, I've got a link to a video of this restaurant that I did to give you the feel of what it is here, of where this is perched, the view over the ocean. And I've got links to my last few videos. Low tide today is at 4:48 a.m. Costa Rica time, and we're getting another low tide at 5:08 p.m. Costa Rica time, with the high tide being at 11:08 a.m. So you can see the whale tail out there now because we're in between. We're not completely washed out with the high tide, but the tide is coming in. I want to invite you and urge you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. An interesting, it's going to be a regular thing. I'm going to do 22 episodes of it, and the idea is stole from Jerry Seinfeld with comedians in cars having coffee. And this is called Costa Ricans in Cars Getting Coffee. And I'm going to find my Costa Rican friends that can speak English and just take a ride in the car and talk about I'll introduce you to some of my friends here. I think this should be interesting. Muy interesante. To do it with a few of my friends that speak only Spanish to see how I struggle. When you're talking to somebody that you know, even though you speak different languages. Excelente. Muchas gracias.
¿Quiere más café?
Todo listo, gracias.
Bien.
Perfecto. The rainy season it's one of those things. Like last year during the rainy season, I was complaining about the rain, but I made sure to point out that I pre-qualified myself because I knew that I would complain more about the dry season than the rainy season. And I don't really complain so much about the rainy season itself as just the flooding. When the bad flooding, it's really bad. It's just it's really, I was thinking about this the other day. It's such a contrast. There's so many contrasts here, but whether it's the dry season to the rainy season, because it's so extremely different. You go from just no rain for weeks, and then in the rainy season, you get rain every single day. And then there's the in between where maybe it'll rain at night, and that would be ideal if you would get some nice, every night you get a little bit of rain and have some nice cloud cover during the day. You can hear that the cicadas decided they're starting earlier in the morning now too. So about 6:30 in the morning they're going now, where it used to be 8. And got the video. I guess I could go back and look and see my videos, and the background noise of the cicadas ceased to exist. I think it's one of those deals where it slowly tapers off. So we've got a beautiful vulture circling out there. And with the different, like the El Nino and all that stuff, I guess it's a matter of degrees, right? So if it rains a little bit less, it wouldn't be bad. But if it extended the dry season, that wouldn't be good. But last year we had so much rain. I had a chart that a local did here that maybe you even saw that. It was on Facebook, and it showed the rain by month and how much it went up and how much it went down. So Donna, are you hearing me all right, or am I breaking up there? Oh yeah, I remember that first day you were here at I can't remember the name of the place over there, but the rain was coming down and hitting the pool, and you were videotaping everything like crazy. So that'll be a year of living in Costa Rica for you. Or whatever unit of measurement that you use. Yeah, it's been a struggle for me for the last 2 weeks with the internet here and the electricity. The electricity has been going off so much. And of course, with all the electricity, you don't have Wi-Fi, but sometimes my Wi-Fi's back on, or my electricity's back on, and the Wi-Fi is not back. Yeah, it's really hard when you have to upload a video and you've got no electricity. So I've learned when I have especially if the power has been acting up, to make sure that you have a video uploaded and scheduled. Because nothing makes you feel smarter than when your power's out, but you know that you've already got your video up to YouTube, and it's gonna upload automatically because you can schedule your videos on YouTube. So if I was smart, I would be about 5 episodes ahead. Well, you're way more game than I am, Don, with the Kaha and all that stuff, and I still have to pay almost $7 every time I go to the beach in the national park, which is a pain. And Don was just mentioning his age, and I always, anytime anybody does that, I'm like, it's just a number, just a number. Somebody asked me my age last week. I was like, no, that's not relevant. That's just a question I don't answer. You can ask me any kind of question you want, but there's certain things it's just, to me, it's like, it's a need to know basis. But you're still a young fellow there, Don. And I've started doing consulting for people moving here, and I get from time to time somebody that will say, "Oh, I'm so and so years old, and I can't start a new life. What can I do at this age? I'm so and so years." Thoughts I hear from people, and I just I just tell people what I think, and maybe people don't like it, but it's like, it doesn't matter your age. I mean, in certain ways, yeah, it matters if you got the aches and pains and all that stuff, but don't let that be the excuse. It's more of it's a bigger problem for people to not be in shape, and I speak of myself. When a lot of times when I sound preachy, I'm preaching to myself. So it's not so much that people are too old to do things that they want to do. They're just not in the proper shape that they should be in, and definitely preaching to myself. It's it's the If you want your fountain of youth, that's taking care of yourself, eating right, and exercising every day. And I don't do that, I'm definitely preaching to myself. And if anybody else can get something out of my self preaching, but I know that for a fact. If you're in good shape, you're younger. You feel younger and more. Not I won't even use the term younger. You feel like you can do more. And that age is just a number. Because there's people numbers that can't get off their couch. So don't use the age as an excuse, even though it makes things harder maybe in some ways. But it's all you have it all in your power to change a lot of things. Yeah, I agree with that, Bob. It's like it's you, it's like food. You can't avoid it. Like if you're an alcoholic, you can just not drink, and if you're prescription drugs, you say, oh, I'm just not going to drink. But like with food, you have to you have to eat to live. And I have such a horrible diet. No, what I don't understand is I have the knowledge of this, and this is true for a lot of people. Probably the majority of people. We have the knowledge that exercise and eating well will make us have a much higher quality of life and live longer and be able to be more active and do things. So what I don't understand, like with me, I'll just talk about myself. Why I can't eat better and get in a exercise routine. So I'm going to work on the reasons why, and I'd be interested in what people think about that, the philosophy on being in shape and all that. Yeah, well, talk about it. It really is a number, and if it's hard to get up out of bed, it isn't solely because of you being older. It's maybe you don't have the like I'm talking about myself. I'm not preaching to anybody else. If I get up, if I'm having a hard time getting up out of bed, maybe I haven't been taking care of myself the way I should. If I I'm not saying it's going to guarantee everything's good, but I think I just see too many people acting like just because there's a certain number that's the reason why everything's not going is great physically. Like it can't maybe like with me, I can't ride my bike as far or up a mountain. And if I can't perform on my bicycle as well, it's because I haven't been riding. Right? If I get riding my bike every on a regular basis, I ride better now than I did when I was probably 20. But the terrain here is a lot more challenging too. So the training here can be a little bit more intense. Wow, 105, well, losing 105 pounds. Wow. Well, you always had a lot. I'm talking to Bob, who I went to school with back in New York State. But Bob, you always had a lot of muscle mass too. You were lifted a lot of weights, and you were always like back in the younger days. You always had a lot of muscle mass, and you must have had a pretty good mentality for working out because you were pretty dedicated to getting in shape. And I, and I think that's so true. It's like it's so hard to think in the long term, like those to think that those little baby steps that you do will pay off in the long run. I mean, and that's so true about everything we do in life. Because that for me, it's like the instant gratification. It's like, yeah, okay, um, I really want to lose my gut, but boy, that slice of pizza looks pretty good right about now. And then I'll be stressed out about something. I go, well, I'm stressed, so I'm going to eat. I need to celebrate, so I'm going to eat. So yeah, it's all a mindset, I guess. But how do we outsmart ourselves to do that? That had to feel pretty amazing though, to lose 105 pounds. Bob lost 105 pounds, even though some of it came back. You plateaued. I guess they would probably call it that. But when I lose some weight, I always feel better because I feel like gravity is no longer as intense as it was. If you lose like 20 pounds or 30 pounds, you're like, wow. I feel stronger because I feel like the pull of gravity got less. But one thing I found too it's been beneficial for me is if I'm stressed out or if I'm wondering if I'm at a point where I'm like, oh, what do I need to do right now? And if I can't think of what I should be doing, just going out for a bike ride or going for a walk is a great way to get my mind back focused again. Because I do lose focus. I don't know if it's so many different things going on that I I lose my focus. So a little bit of that cardio type exercise, even if it's not intense, always helps me to get back. It's nice when you lose a little bit of weight and you start to see it in your face. You can start to see like, oh, a little bit of definition in the cheekbones there. So yeah, you definitely feel if you're in better shape, you definitely feel more energetic and vibrant, and dare I say, youthful. Well, that's a good point. Like the goal is not it's it's the journey. It's a journey to fitness, to being in shape that matters, not like the final destination. Philosophically speaking, I guess is like, yeah, it's not like that. It's not like when you get there, you're there. Yeah, I know that feeling because you lose a certain amount of weight, you're going, yeah, I'm looking pretty good. I guess things will take care of themselves from then on, and it doesn't always happen. And you don't mean for your discipline to go away. It's just you're like, oh, it's not as urgent now. I don't. I'm starting to feel good. People are starting to say, oh, he lost weight. So yeah, it's a constant struggle. And I'm a huge I don't want to say excuse maker, but for lack of a better word, excuse maker. If I start to put weight back on, it'll be like, oh yeah, I've been stress eating. I've been stress eating. I get everybody's got stress, so it's not an excuse. So Ed, stop making excuses. And it's so frustrating because I'm talking like I should be. If I look like I should be from listening to my own advice, I would be in tip top shape and no gut. But the weight comes back on a lot faster than it goes off for me. I'll tell you that. They've got at El Mercado. They've got organic Coke, a big bottle for I think it was like 2 mil. But I like to buy the. I actually enjoy buying the actual coconuts and opening them with my machete. I'm I need to learn to sharpen my machete because it isn't that sharp, and I end up I'd be better off with a hammer sometimes. The lack of sharpness of my machete. Yeah, I know. Food is it's so we don't have to, it's like an animal's got to go hunt for their food. We just have to go and plop down some money and take it. And the convenience food is the worst, and that's I don't cook, so that's where I've drifted towards. And I can't afford to go out and eat all the time, so I end up eating a lot of peanut butter sandwiches, which was what I thought I was escaping back in the States, but it's come back to haunt me again. I like the breakfast smoothies too. I had one this morning actually, but I need to start incorporating some more vegetables, more of a green smoothie. Yeah, and here in Costa Rica, there's a mix. There's some there's some overweight people, and there's yeah. A lot of times the supermarket is full of snacks, just like it is in the States. So a lot of times when people come here, they're surprised to see that. But it's funny. I do know some overweight people here that are like Chicos that are overweight, but most of them are actually in good shape, other than the fact that they're overweight. There's some people that are really overweight, but they're out very active. I don't know too many couch potatoes here. Yeah, I have to check out the new place where Alex is working. Was it the Vagina Bistro? The Vagina Bistro. And that's Don's friend Alex, who helps him. He's Don's unofficial Costa Rica mentor. Teaches him a lot about Costa Rica and Uvita area. And it's good to have friends like that help you out and help you learn about the country. Something that you don't see when you're on vacation and just going to the popular spots. Yeah, and Bob's talking about the discipline in food, and it's funny you can have discipline in certain areas, but there's certain areas you could have a weakness. Like with me, it's like, and I can be disciplined enough to do the work that I have to do, but am I disciplined enough to walk past uh, that freshly made pizza? So if she's making your cookies and putting it there in front of you, that's a good test. I mean, it could strengthen your discipline if you can get past it. But yeah, freshly baked cookies are hard to resist. Yeah, they always say it's best to have a bad habit you want to get rid of, replace it with a good habit. And that probably the same would be true for food. I just don't eat that many different varieties of food. I've got this thing where I'm kind of grossed out about most other food that I'm not used to eating. For instance, fish. That's always been on my list. And I won't even go on my I need to start eating fish rant again because most people eat and get me away from some of the junk that I normally eat. And there's an interesting theory about having like different kinds of parasites that make you crave sugar. Um, like that, the having a candida. I'm not saying that right. In your system, that craves sugar, so that makes you want to eat sugar and carbohydrates and all that. But I don't know how much there is to that, but it actually sounds logical. Well, I think when you move to Costa Rica, it's a little bit of survival, survivor. It's almost like Survivor to an extent, except that you're only competing with yourself, really. I think when most people move here, you get even if it's just a brief moment of like, oh my God, what did I do? And so you have to adjust to that, and you find your place here. And I'm still working on it. I've got some really critical things going on that I need to accomplish. So I'm going to need some discipline, and I'm going to need some. I don't know what qualities. I'm going to need all the good qualities I can muster up for the next 2 or 3 months here. Well, that's a good thing to be able to catch your own fish. I can't even cook my own fish. I don't even know how to shop for fish. But this, but to be honest, when I go to the supermarket and I smell fish, it grosses me out. But I know I could get past it. It's one of those things in my head because I never liked to eat eggs by themselves. I know I'd have eggs mixed in French toast or whatever, but to eat regular eggs was to me seemed not appealing. But when I first moved here, I started eating the typical, the beans and rice and the eggs and a little bit of cheese. And it took a while to adjust, but if I could do that with fish, I think that would be life changing. Well, that's one of the things I'm jealous about. Anybody that's got a big freezer, because where I live. It's basically it's I've got a really small refrigerator, so I'm living a hotel kind of life. So I've got just enough room in my freezer for my frozen smoothie batches that I take out and and make a smoothie a little bit at a time. And I don't have a full kitchen. Oh yeah, I've been doing research on fish. I ask all my friends what their favorite fish is and things like that. It's just having the courage to eat something new. I like to get if I've started to eat a fish, I'd like it to be first of all be something healthy, and then second economical, and and probably catching your own fish would be pretty economical. I know Don's friend Alex is a really great fisherman. So just hang around him for a while and then have him throw you a fish once in a while. We saw this really strange fish the other day Monday when we were sea kayaking. This thing it did this dance on the end. It was a long, really long fish, maybe about 3 feet long, or maybe 2 feet long, but it was a thin type fish. But it did this walk on its tail for I don't know how long. It just went across the ocean for yards, dancing on its tail. I don't know if something was chasing it or it was just enjoying itself. Well, I didn't realize how late it was. I went off on a tangent talking about my lack of discipline and things, and having a YouTube channel, you get to see yourself. So you're like, man, I got to take some weight off. So that's one of the good things about the YouTube channel. It keeps you from it keeps you out of the river of denial. All right. That sounds pretty good, Don. I have Alex. Don was proposing that we have a dinner of eating fish, and I could try to eat some fish without throwing up, and Alex could catch something. Yellowfin tuna. Hmm. Oh, that was a needlefish that was doing that little hopping. Yeah, the water was really clear this past week. It was so cool because I'm used to it being that kind of heavy green, but it was almost Caribbean-esque until the waves started picking up again. But it was like calm and smooth. That was pretty awesome. That fish dinner thing, we'll see. So if you haven't watched the video, if you're new here, if you haven't watched the video about this restaurant, if you've never been to this restaurant, make sure you come to Restaurante Don Roger, the Mirador. It's a great place to see the whale tail. And if you haven't checked the description, I've got a lot of cool stuff down in the description about things I'm up to, videos, recent videos. And I guess that's all I have for this episode of Costa Rica Story Live. Make sure you like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to. But most importantly, share this with a friend because the YouTube algorithm hates me. All right. Hasta luego.